Hey y'all, I'm live. Your girl is live. What's up? I almost entitled this like I almost entitled this like a mini holiday marathon, but I chose not to. Can you guys see okay? Hope you guys can see okay. Again, what I'm doing is I'm using my desktop and I'm pulling from my phone. I'm still gonna go live around 6. Um, and that'll be just to kind of cover the rest of the videos that I've done this year. But this, I wanted to use this time kind of like as a fun holiday little countdown, you guys. I hope everyone is enjoying. I hope everybody got what they wanted for Christmas. If you started making those holiday resolutions, that's what's up. Let me see. I don't even have. Did it just look like it got lighter, you all? Like I literally just took off the ring light and instead of it getting darker, this is what I had ready. Is that working at all? Let me see. Was it better without? I don't know, you guys. But yeah, so I'm using my little mini ring light. If you guys watched my part 1, if you didn't, that's fine. But I explained that I had actually like kind of promoted this in the past. But I really like it. It's a really great product. And it's one of those things that you could actually like snap onto your cell phone if you want to take selfies, or you could actually put onto your computer, onto your laptop. Let's see. It gets bright. How's that? Awfully bright. But that's what's up. As you guys see, it works. I don't even have my standing ring light. Normally what I have to do is I have to have my tripod out and I'll have, well, a lot of times I'm using like my cell phone to actually tape stuff. And then I'll have my standing ring light just because, the need for enough brightness. But looks like this is doing the trick, y'all. It's doing it. So how's everybody's days going? I usually like to kind of use this time to kind of warm it up a little bit. This is very random. I didn't like pre-announce at all that I was going to be going live at this time. I hope everybody is enjoying their day. So I'm gonna cover some what I think is current, not so current, but it all kind of ties into yesterday's part 2 because I think I talked a lot about I talked about the industry anyway. I talked about Hollywood. I talked about the industry, but I also talked about like Will Smith. I did that on part 1 and part 2. But in this particular talk, you guys, I wanted to dive in a little bit more into, and this is not to like destroy Will Smith or anything like that, because I mean, what's in the news, what's being made readily available for us to actually read and consume and know what's going on in Hollywood is just what it is. So, it's what it is. But I wanted to kind of cover more, like I say, more of what I talked about yesterday and more of what I talked about prior with my part 1, where I talked about the industry. I talked about Hollywood. It's not just, I talked about P. Diddy or Diddy or Sean Combs or Puff Daddy, whatever name he's going by. I talked about him, but I feel like a lot of the stuff that's going on is not just happening in the music industry, y'all. I think it's happening in Hollywood. I think it's happening in the political arena. I think that it's happening with even the food industry, like all this stuff. And I'm not trying to get like super deep with it or super like conspiracy, whatever with it. But I mean, it is what it is. And I'm going to use the word as calling them a group. I tried to use as little as possible Illuminati, because you all already know who I'm talking about. You guys already know the group that I'm referring to. So all I got to say is group, and I'm sure a lot of you guys know. But I just feel like, in general, like what I said yesterday, you guys go back, rewind on my Rewind 2023. I was saying that, to me, Diddy is basically doing what the rest of them are doing. It's just that he got messy with his, and because he got messy, he's been made, as an example, they've made a martyr out of him, basically, is how I feel. And I feel rightfully so. I think that Diddy has been doing a lot of messed up stuff, foul stuff for the longest. And it's time. It's time for the spotlight to be shown on a lot of that just really horrible, messed up stuff. There has been, I feel like, celebrities along the way that have spoken up, spoken out. A lot of it has kind of fallen on deaf ears. It hasn't been until, I feel like, most recently with social media, with the internet and all this stuff, where it's kind of impossible for a lot of stuff that had been done in the dark not to be brought to light. Even when I started this channel, and don't worry, you guys, just like with my previous videos, I'm still going to, sorry guys, even with my previous videos, I am still going to timestamp everything, so you guys could just kind of go right into the points that you guys might want to hear, or you might want to hear it all the way through. But just kind of a little bit of backstory. When I started this channel, you guys, when I originally started this channel, it was more, well, for one, like I say, yes, I'm a big Michael Jackson fan, still am, that's unchanging. But when I started this channel, my perspective overall, pretty much, not that I was like totally naive, but my perspective for the most part was that, Hollywood glitz, glam, even back in the day, I remember growing up, being in like elementary school, high school, and that is literally all that I ever wanted, was to, go to Hollywood or model or do something along those lines. And I thought of it as something that was glamorous, was not, but there's so much more. It is not all peaches and cream. The industry is not. I'm so thankful that I did not do any of those things growing up. I'm so glad, because we've learned that the industry is not as it appears. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. And usually I feel like a lot of these actors that have really made names for themselves have had to partake. I'm not saying all, but for the most part, have had to partake in these groups. They've had to partake in different ritualistic type of whatever things to basically secure the spots that they have. They just have. But anyway, but yeah, so I was just saying that when I originally started with this channel, that was really kind of like my perspective on Hollywood, glitz, glam, not 100% naive, but at the same time, like, just really kind of this past year, my channel is not that old. I think my channel is like a year and 3 months. But in this year and 3 months, I have learned so much by having this channel and having to do, in some cases, having to do a little research into certain topics, certain celebs. And it's like, you literally cannot ignore all of the truth. You really cannot ignore so much stuff that is just, it's about the internet, social media. Now it's so easy for us to record things, share information. So a lot of stuff, like I say, that has been done in the dark in Hollywood and probably been done since the beginning. Probably since back in the day with black and white films, probably since back in the day, Alfred Hitchcock and all that stuff. I'm so serious. A lot of that stuff, just now we're learning, probably been going on, but now my videos, I didn't intend to go more into like talking about the dark side of Hollywood and things like that. But how can I not? Is how I feel. The dark side of the music industry, the dark side, like how can I not? Like take for instance, and we're gonna get into today's topic, but we're not rushing it. I almost entitled this live mini marathon. Okay, so we got time, y'all. Okay, we have time. Matter of fact, you want to grab a snack? Feel free to do that. Okay, but I'm trying not to talk and chew, but I'm just saying, if you want to grab a snack, you guys, grab some coffee, grab some tea. Feel free to do that. But yeah, we're going to get into today's topic where I'm going to talk about Will Smith. I wanted to talk about Quiency Jones. I wanted to talk about the actress from Fresh Prince, Janet Hubert, which the name may not ring a bell, but she was the first Vivian, the first mom on the Fresh Prince show. And then I wanted to talk about, I think his name is Brysher Gray, but the guy from Empire, okay? The guy from Empire, the actor from Empire, the young guy that has like a $50 million lawsuit against Diddy for SA. Certain words I can't say here on YouTube, but he has a $50 million lawsuit against Diddy for that, and he's also has that against Will Smith as well. Somehow Will has been attached to that, which I'm not shocked. The more we learn about stuff, I'm actually not shocked. And Will and Diddy have been friends for many years. They were even closer, I think, back in like the early 2000s and stuff like that, late 90s, early 2000s. But they've been very close friends, even up till now. But we'll get on to that. We'll get to that. But yeah, back to what I was saying. I was just saying that was not my original vision for the channel. There are a lot of channels, and I find them very fascinating, very interesting, that solely base their content. They solely base their content on, the dark side of Hollywood, the dark side of the industry. And that really was, what I had envisioned. But like I say, over this past year, my channel is not that old, but within this period of time, like I say, the more that I've delved into learning about the different celebs in Hollywood, it's like, how can you not cover that? You know what I mean? Like, if you want to paint everybody in like the perfect light, big ups to you. But like, honestly, if you're really going to cover the music industry, you're really going to cover Hollywood, and really other sectors too, how can you really ignore that? So I would say a lot of my videos have, I've covered Orlando Brown. If you guys are not familiar with him, he's a child actor, was a child actor, star. Since then, I think he's tried to do like some rapping and like some other stuff, but pretty much I remember him back in the day, and he's like a Disney star and, acted alongside Raven-Symoné. But I remember him even like as like a kid, you know what I mean? Like I remember back in the day, and I even remember, like I say, when I was younger, that's what I wanted to do. I remember being a little jealous. My sister, she could co-sign on this. I remember for myself being a little jealous of Orlando Brown, of Raven-Symoné, of Brandy, of all of them, because I'm like, they're so lucky. They get to be in Hollywood. They get to be in, whatever. They're the life, just seems so glamorous. It seems so glamorous. I'm like, they don't have to go to school, which, of course, like they probably, they had homeschool or, probably tutors and stuff like that in their trailer. Orlando Brown, he was in like, he was in a bunch of, every time I turn around, he was either in a movie or he was on a TV show. Same for Raven-Symoné. And a lot of them back then. But since then, in his adulthood, he's had a lot of troubles. He, had a bad drug addiction, in and out of jail. But along the way, Orlando Brown has also said a lot about the music industry. I mean, Hollywood, and what he, says. A lot of what Orlando has said also comes along with, stuff that sounds outrageous, sounds a little crazy, could have been drug induced as well. But overall, like, especially since more recent news, we're finding that a lot of stuff that Orlando Brown claimed and said is like actually like really coming to light. Orlando Brown had mentioned over this summer, if I'm not mistaken, or at least the video surfaced over this summer. I think it was like, you guys, I hope the light is still decent. I have my, is that better? I don't know. Hope the light is still decent. I'm using my ring light, you guys. Oh, that's so funny. Hey there, Tactical. I was not looking down there. Shout out. I was trying to use these more as like questions, not like real personal questions, you guys, but more like just to go back and forth on these topics. I was trying to kind of not to get too, into my own personal, and all that. Although I do appreciate the question because you might just be wondering. But more so just, to go back and forth, let's talk about some Will Smith. Let's talk about some Orlando Brown, some Hollywood, what's really going on. I'm just saying. Where did I leave off? Oh, that's what I was saying. So I was saying that more recently, I believe it was like this summer. Sorry, you guys, I'm just making sure my phone is off. I believe that it was this summer that Orlando Brown actually had a video that surfaced. I don't know if he was on YouTube. I don't know if he was on TikTok. I don't know. But he had a video that went viral for a little bit there. But no one could actually really tell if it was like drug induced or if it was him like being for real, because at that particular time, Will Smith's name had not been pulled into anything. Like he had not, Will Smith's name, I'm gonna check out the chat in a minute, but Will Smith's name had not been pulled into anything. And in that little quick little viral tape with Orlando Brown talking to the camera, he was saying he was very upset. He said every time that he saw Will Smith's face, he wanted to do something violent. He said that back in the day, he said that this is what allegedly, according to Orlando Brown. Orlando Brown said that allegedly he was taken advantage of by Will Smith and then passed along to Diddy. So I'm like, whoa. And at the time, for one thing, and then he also said something about Mariah Carey's ex-husband, who's having all those babies. I can't think of his name. Okay, so let me see here. What can I do? Let's do that. Alrighty. Well, anyway, this is not Kevin Samuel's channel. If you're looking for that, you can look for some of his archived stuff that's up there. RIP to him. Okay, so God bless, and I'm just saying, let's keep it light. Anyway, what was I saying? I was saying that. So at that time. Also, like I say, Orlando Brown had also talked about Mariah Carey's ex-husband. What's his name? I'm gonna look it up. But you know, you guys know who I'm talking about. Who had all those having babies by like a million different women. But anyway, Orlando Brown had also said made some comments about him as well. So a lot of times what Orlando Brown says kind of gets dismissed because it does sound so outrageous because no one else has said those things, brought up those type of allegations, and because Orlando Brown is known to have had like problems with drug addiction. Okay. But like I say, recently, there's more stuff coming out that we're like, whoa, you know, like I say, with the guy from Empire, who's not only is he bringing up trying to sue Diddy, but he's also trying to sue Will Smith as well, and for Will Smith's mentorship. But like I say, over the summer, Orlando Brown said that. But when Orlando Brown said that, I'm like, is Will Smith and Diddy even friends? Like, you know, I didn't fully credit what he, you know, the claims that he made in that like little short viral video. I'm like, is what he's saying even like, I don't know. I looked it up. Sure enough, Will and Diddy friends, you know, still, or at least as it appears, they're friends now. And we're even closer back in the, you know, late 90s or whatever, 2000s, which would have been around the time that Orlando Brown was a kid when he was younger, and maybe really actually being taken advantage of. So I'm just saying, Merry Christmas to you as well. Thank you. Thanks, you guys. Hope you guys are enjoying this live, right? I'm giving you a little Christmas ambiance. I'm trying to. But yeah, so I don't know. You guys can also drop your thoughts and comments on that. But yeah, so a lot of what Orlando Brown, as well as Corey Hames, RIP to him too. Not Corey Hames, I'm sorry. Corey Feldman. Like a child actor as well, who was also friends with Corey Hames, who passed, who also wound up having problems with drugs and things like that. A lot of them that have been abused, taken advantage of. I forgot, I can't say that word. That have been taken advantage of. I'll just say that. Oh, wow. Okay. All right. All the way from Greece. That's what's up. Wonderful. Well, I hope you're having a very Merry Christmas, or I hope you had a very Merry Christmas in Greece, and have a very Happy New Year as well. Greetings. Greece is so beautiful too. Hope you're enjoying your landscape there. But there have been other actors, like I was saying, that have spoken up, spoken out, and stuff has fallen on deaf ears. So that kind of moves us along to today's topic. Oh yeah, I mentioned Corey Feldman a little bit. I wanted to mention him a little bit just to say that just like Orlando Brown, Corey Feldman has been, even before like, you know, the Me Too movement, even before a lot of these different movements of people like speaking out, Corey Feldman had spoken up and said on The View, he spoke to Barbara Walters, he said on other venues, he's spoken up about like how growing up in Hollywood, how he had been taken advantage of many times. Talking about, you know, SA, because I can't say the word, but he had been taken advantage of many times, and even actually named specific names of, you know, some that are still working in the industry. Nothing's happened to them at all. And then there's one that he mentioned that actually he had written in his book that had actually went down for the charges of, you know, taking advantage of. Don't need it, but where is the voice for the youth, younger people? And I think that, you know, hey, me not getting into Hollywood was probably one of the best things to ever happen ever. Because now I know more about like what really goes on in Hollywood. You're either playing ball or you're not. And that is rough on the women as well as the men. Very much so. And they say that for some reason, the Disney children have it the worst. I don't know why. I don't know what that means, other than I know that Orlando Brown, he was a Disney kid. And with that, they're kind of forced to, attend different industry parties with a lot of adults. And they say a lot of this stuff that happens goes on at those industry parties. So just saying. But I wanted to move into today's topic, you guys. And I'm still going to go live at 6 o'clock. I might take a little break, or I might eat a chip or two now, but I'll take a little break between this live and I'll go live at 6. At 6 o'clock, I'm going to discuss more about, hey there. Oh no. Well, that's not nice. Nobody should be saying that about you. I cannot pronounce your name, but that is not true. So I hope you never feel that way. Do not feel that way at all. You should know that inside and out. And usually when people say very negative, nasty things, it's usually a projection. I'll just say that. When somebody has something nasty, I don't care what it is. I don't care even if you feel. I'm just replying to a comment in the chat, you guys. So for you guys that are not catching this live while it's live, you guys can always go back to the live chat and see what I'm talking about. I cannot pronounce your name, but I hope you never feel bad. Do not feel that way, because anytime someone has something negative to say, it's usually, and then I'll get back to the topic, but I just wanted to address this, that usually, I don't care what it is, that is a them thing. That's not a you thing. Usually it's a projection. I don't care if you really do feel unattractive or you do feel whatever. Anytime somebody feels the need to say something negative about you, is usually a projection on them, because when you're really happy, who has time to say negative things about other people? Like, you literally should feel so good that to take the time to take part in gossip or just say something nasty to hurt someone's feelings, that would not be on your agenda. So remember, it's not a you thing, that's a them thing. Keep on moving, okay? You heard it from me. You heard it from Leela Michelle. I'm just saying, okay? But thank you for joining and being a part of this live chat. Appreciate all of you guys very much. But yeah, so let me get back to today's topic. So today's topic is Will Smith. I wanted to take a minute we'll get into Will Smith and Quiency Jones, because that's a whole nother, that goes deep as well. Okay, Quiency, because we'll go with Will Smith and Quiency Jones. But I just want to take a minute to talk about Will Smith and the Fresh Prince actress, Janet Hubert. Okay, if you guys don't know who I'm talking about, you guys can look it up. She played the first Aunt Viv on Fresh Prince. Okay, she was the darker skinned mom on Fresh Prince. And then, whatever season, they suddenly switched the mom. It's like, okay, what happened to Janet Hubert? And then they replaced her with a new mom. Okay, both were excellent, actually, but she got replaced. Since then, and over the years, Janet Hubert, as we know, and what I'm telling you guys now, goes back to the reunion that he had with her in 2020. But I just feel like, since I'm talking about Will Smith, I just felt like I kind of wanted to mention that, because after amends with her and all that, it was no more that was said about it. But anyway, over the years, Janet Hubert gained a reputation in Hollywood, just in general, as being someone that's hard to work with, They said that she was crazy. Even when I think it was like Alfonso Rivero. Even when Carlton, that was his character's name. Even when, and he's done a lot too, like done a lot of hosting TV shows and stuff like that. So he's been pretty active since The Fresh Prince. But even when other castmates that were on that show were asked about Janet Hubbard, what were their thoughts, they would look off like, I want to talk about her. Like, whoo, she's crazy. And randomly, sometimes Janet Hubbard, she would, which made it worse. Sometimes it is like you could do things that is kind of like throwing gasoline, into the fire pit. Sometimes it does feel like the more you try to explain or speak out or whatever, the crazier it makes you look. But Janet, every now and then, she would hop on. She would go on to whatever, YouTube. I don't know if she was on Instagram or whatever, but she would randomly say stuff, and she would be like, "And to you, Will," like she say whatever, whatever she's feeling, and she'd be like, "To you, Will, F you," and people would be like, "Oh my God," because it just made her look, more insane, more crazier. And it seemed to kind of like justify not justify, but reinforce all the things that people had been saying about her, prior, that she's hard to work with, that she was cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, that she was just loopy or whatever. Because especially like up until, I guess you could say, the 2020 Oscar slap, up until then, Will Smith was only seen in one light, but he doesn't have to be like a saint or anything like that whatsoever. But he always kind of played into a certain goody role. I'll say that. And for her to say F Will Smith is like, okay, yeah, this lady is really loopy. Like, why would she say that? Like, that's the Fresh Prince. That's Will Smith. He, he's a good guy. Like, why is she talking like that? And some of her allegations was that, he was nasty to her, and that he would make jokes and was telling other people in the crew or saying things that, like, her complexion was too dark to play the mom's role, to play Aunt Viv. And I think she said something about his issue. Not only was, he color struck, but she said that also because she wasn't the one to, kiss his butt, that she's never been anyone to kiss his butt. Now, here we have, hey there in the chats. What's up, Luis? Hola. Thank you. Gracias. Thank you. I appreciate all of you guys. And I'm actually glad that I went live at this time, because I'm like, I don't know if people, are they going to be on the move or what? I don't know. But I'm glad that you guys are able to join me in this chat. But yeah, so, she has some pretty heavy things to say. She has some pretty heavy things to say about Will. So, like I say, because we had never heard any other narrative around Will Smith, it just sounds so like, it just made her seem like everything that, all the negative things that others were saying about her, it just made it seem like it was true. Some of the stuff even seemed funny. Like I say, when she got onto YouTube or whatever platform, and she's like, "And to you, Will," she got on there, she's like, "And to you, Will, F you," and it was like, okay, yeah, this lady. Okay, here it is. I think it aired December of 2020. He has this Fresh Prince reunion, and surprise, surprise, he has her on there. Now, we know throughout the years they've been warring, but it's been really her and Smith. Here, Will Smith is, and I think it was big of him. I will say this. I think it was big of him to try to make amends. I think it was big of him to finally admit the truth, which was that Janet Hubbard was not crazy. The first Aunt Viv, no, she was not crazy. She was not exaggerating. Everything she said was true. And Will even said something along the lines, I have to watch it again because it's been a minute, but Will even said something along the lines of like, he was just young and egotistical back then, you know, meaning that what Janet was saying was more than likely right, which was that she was not kissing his butt. You know, I'm not saying that the other actors were, but maybe they were a little bit more, you know, the type to laugh at his jokes offset. And, you know, even when they weren't filming, they're like, oh, you know, whatever. Like, I'm just saying, maybe. So, you know, specifically in what ways she felt that she was not the type to kiss his butt, I don't know. But basically, here it is, 2020. Now, how long ago was it that she was on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air? Eons ago, okay? So long ago. Since then, now maybe you guys, if you know, you can write it into the chat. Since then, she hasn't been in anything. She hasn't been in anything since, and predominantly that had to do with Will, and she said that. She said that she felt that she had been blackballed in Hollywood because of Will Smith and a lot of negative things that he said, and nobody wanted to work with her. Now, I'm just saying, I think it's great that that in 2020, you know, he kind of owned up to his wrongdoing, which I think was really big of him. But along with that, where's her check? Okay, I'm just saying, like, because of his actions and him waiting decades later to finally say, hey, this lady is not crazy. You know, I was the young, egotistical actor who did X, Y, Z and got her kicked off the show and replaced and da-da-da-da-da. It was me. Instead of him doing that decades ago, he waits till 2020, the end of 2020 to do that. And since then, you know, like I say, maybe she has been in some other shows. I don't know. Or been in some other things that maybe I just don't know about. But his actions affected her coin, okay? Will Smith's actions affected her coin. It affected her bank account and all of that. So if that's the case, like, along with that apology, where was Janet Hubbard's, where's her check? Or along with that, maybe he should have been saying, my apologies, Janet, I was young, I was da-da-da. But not only do I want to apologize to you, but I would like to cast you in this latest, because, they did the remake. I don't know if it still comes on or not, but they had like this whole remake of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. I can see if he said like, I would like for you to, I have a starring role for you in that. Or if he said, here, please take this check, my apologies. And here's a starring role in such and such, like some type of compensation besides like, oh yeah, I did do that, my bad. And since then, since Fresh Prince, Will Smith has been in X amount of movies, $20 million a pick, or however many millions of dollars he's been making. Very successful career post The Fresh Prince, whereas hers just kind of stopped and was stagnant after that. So to me, that was just like, okay, it's good that Will made his, gave his apologies. He's sorry. Like I say, that is a good, high vibrational. I'll put it that way. That's a very good high vibrational thing of Will to have done. But along with that, where's Miss Hubbard's check? Does she have some more roles that's lined up for her now that, you finally let the public know that it wasn't her and that she wasn't crazy? I don't know. So that was my thoughts on that. I just kind of wanted to leave comments down below. Maybe she has, like, I'm not sure. Maybe she's done stuff like off Broadway or whatever. I don't know. But I do know that whenever she was brought up, Alfonso Rivera and What's the other one? I can't think of her name. I can't think of her name. The one who played Ashley. Like a lot of them would be like, oh, you know, and that kind of further made people believe that, like, okay, the lady, something was wrong with Aunt Viv. Like Aunt Viv was, you know, whatever. And then, like I say, it didn't help when she would get on in front of a screen and then be like, you know, Will, and to you, F you, you know. It was justified, but we didn't know. We, you know, just made her look more like out there. So that's my thoughts on that. But I also wanted to cover, you guys don't mind if I eat a chip, do you? Hope you guys don't mind. Wash it down. But, so, I know, hey, a girl's got a snack, okay? And if you guys are there, like I said, I hope you guys have a snack yourself, right? Tea, coffee, cookies, chips, whatever. Something healthy, maybe granola bar. I don't know. But anyway, okay, so while we're still on the subject of Will Smith, I wanted to talk about Quiency Jones. Now, and this also kind of ties in Oprah as well. So maybe I should have dropped Oprah's name as well into the, maybe I should have dropped in Oprah's name into the details or whatever description of the video. So people have been saying, and I'm like, in what sense did they mean that? Like, I didn't really get it. People have been saying that Oprah allegedly, I'm gonna start doing like Jason Lee. Jason Lee on his podcast or his show or whatever, he does allegedly. Okay. I'll just say this. Allegedly, people have been saying that Oprah was a handler, one of Hollywood handlers. And I'm like, what do they mean by that exactly? I mean, it's no doubt to me that she's more than likely part of that group, you know? All right, El Tamian. Thank you, gracias, Luis, Antonio. And then also, you guys, I am going to have this where you guys can pull up closed captioning on this later. So if you guys are not joining this live, and you guys are going to, you know, join this later, just letting you guys know, there will be closed captioning available. So if you speak another language, you guys will be able to have that translated. But I was just saying that I have been hearing that Oprah referred to as a Hollywood handler. So I'm like, what do they mean by that exactly? Like, what does that even mean, a Hollywood handler? I mean, I knew what it meant, but I meant like, what did they mean by that when it comes to Oprah? Like, what do they mean? I'm like, are they talking about like her, and it's stuff with that too. I'm like, are they talking about like her all girls school in Africa, or like, what do they mean by this Hollywood handler stuff? Then I heard about her with Quiency Jones, that there's a lot of celebrities. Jamie Foxx is one, and I'm mentioning Jamie Foxx because he actually said that back in the day, I think he said it was like, did he say it was before or after he had done Ray? I think it was after he had done Ray that he got a call from Oprah or whatever, phone call from Oprah saying that, you know, I want to meet up with you or whatever, or, you know, you're big now, but if you play your cards right, you could be even bigger. And I have somebody I want you to meet. Turns out that who she wanted him to meet was Quiency Jones. This ties back into Will Smith and a few others. I think Will Smith, Queen Latifah, Tevin Campbell's, poor thing. Tevin Campbell's back in the day, also one of those that had to meet up with Quiency Jones and attend, I don't know, I guess it's like some type of party or whatever that he has with other big wigs. And it's like, if you play your cards right, then you get whatever contract, and you get whatever it is that they know it would help to take you to the next level, you know? And Jamie Foxx, like I said, he said it, but it wasn't like when he said it, he was saying it at all to call Oprah a handler or to say anything negative about Quincy Jones at all. I just saw what Jamie Foxx said pulled together for a video that was calling Oprah a handler. And they were like kind of pulling up receipts, if you will. They was like kind of pulling up evidence of why Oprah was considered like the Hollywood handler. Now I'm like, okay, well, what's so bad about, is that kind of looking out for somebody? Like, what's so bad about Oprah being the middleman to connect one celebrity to another powerful person? Okay, and still, like I say, me like understanding this stuff was way back before. That was me way back before. I'm gonna get the chats in a minute, but again, thank you so much, appreciate it, and all the chats. But like I said, this was kind of me back in my naive stage. I only recently became woke. Yeah, I'm using the word woke. I only recently became woke to Hollywood. Don't you guys like all the conviction I put in there? I say woke. Okay, I only recently became woke to like Hollywood stuff. I would say really basically like this year. I started this channel September of last year, but I would say this year is when I really kind of started to really delve into like Hollywood, like what's really going on. I always thought of Quincy Jones as being like, Quincy Jones worked on the different albums with Michael Jackson. He's the executive producer for Fresh Prince. Like I never really looked outside of that. But, and I don't even really have to say like what the group is, because we know when I say the group, you guys know what I'm referring to. But apparently, Quincy, Oprah, all of them are at those. They're all part of that group. And allegedly, when celebrities attend this meetup, these, whatever these meetups, these hookups, I guess you could say, there is not just the merit of their talent. I'll just put it that way. It's not just the merit of their talent that gets them the deal. It's whatever happens and goes on there at that time amongst not just Quincy, but it's also like other people that have been invited. And if you play your cards right, then you walk away with a deal, a contract, or whatever. So things are not as like all nice and squeaky clean as one would think. But supposedly Queen Latifah has had that meetup with Quincy, and we know ever since then. I mean, she's never really faded out of Hollywood. I don't even know what albums she had back in the day. I don't know. But since then, she's never really faded off of the scene. Same for Will Smith, never really faded off of the scene. And I'm not saying that they're both not tremendously talented. I'm just saying that, since that seal of approval from the group, those are stars. Truth be told, I think when Queen Latifah first came out like rapping and stuff like that, that's not even my generation, if I'm not mistaken. Like I remember her back in the day with Brandy and other, but like when she first debuted, that's way back. So you're saying like from decades and decades ago till now, she's still the huge star that she is. Not that she shouldn't be, not that she isn't majorly talented, But I'm just saying, like a lot of people after this meetup with Quincy Jones have never faded. Their stardom, their influence, their whatever has never faded. And yeah, and then also supposedly, allegedly, we'll say that allegedly at this meeting that Will had with Quincy Jones, and this was before the Fresh Prince. This was, I think they say this was after he debuted his album. How he got that hookup, I don't know. Was it Oprah? You guys, I don't know. I have to do my little bit of research because I don't even know. Was it Oprah that had Will to go meet Quincy? As you know, Oprah's been around forever. I don't know, but after Will came out with his rap album back in the day, that's when. After that is when he had his meetup with Quincy Jones, and supposedly Quincy. Not only did Will attend this party, but at this party, Quincy Jones had him to audition, and then he signed the contract right there at that meetup. And then after that was the Fresh Prince. So, you know, I wasn't there. You guys weren't there. You know, this is just a lot of stuff, like I say, that, you know, we're in the age of information, the age of technology, a lot of things that back in the day that may have been isolated that maybe one person knew or a small group of people knew now is being shared with the rest of the globe very easily, social media, and just being able to share information. So I'm not saying that what I'm saying is 100% Bible or anything like that, but I'm hearing it. I've heard it. Some of you guys might already, you know, like, oh yeah, I know about that. Maybe. I just know that, yeah, a lot of them have definitely paid their dues. Dues have been paid, okay? In the roughest sense of it, just saying. But, so yeah, so him with Quincy Jones, and they just claim that, I'm just wondering, like I say, a lot of research and stuff like that. I have just now this year started to do more digging and things like that. But I'm wondering, I'm wondering now, did Quincy Jones, I know he has like this very, very long portfolio of work and all his accomplishments and things like that. I think he did, because I think they claim that he used to work with Frank Sinatra and just like a whole bunch of really huge names. So maybe he did have that influence before working with Michael Jackson. Maybe he did. But I'm just curious because I'm like, did he gain that like reputation, not reputation, but like all of his like who he is after working on those albums, which were just huge, like global hits, or did he already have that level of influence before working with MJ? I'm just curious. I don't know. Maybe you guys could drop some into the chat if you know. I don't know. I know Quincy Jones is about 100 years old, and he has a long line of huge resume. But I know the major one that put him on the map had to have been his albums with Michael Jackson. But since then, they say he is extreme, not just in the music industry. But yeah, they said that Tevin Campbell, which we know Tevin Campbell, poor thing. I think Tevin Campbell actually claimed that he had been SA'd by some of the powers that be. I can't say the words, you guys, but you guys know. And if you don't, Google it, and you guys will know. But certain words I just can't say here on YouTube. But Tevin Campbell, not only did he have like a drug problem, but he actually said that he had been taken advantage of, which I totally believe. Um, but to me, it just kind of makes sense. Like you wonder sometimes, not saying this is every case, but sometimes you wonder like why certain really, really talented artists are like one hit wonders. Like, like what happened to so and so, or, what happened to, why did they just fall off the map? Maybe it could be that they just either stepped away because it was just too much for them, or it could be that they weren't playing ball, the way that they were expected to in order to secure their spot, which could have been the case as well. So I don't know. Thank you, gracias, Luis. Thank you. Good night to you too. I appreciate it. Thanks. But yeah, you guys. So leave your comments down below in about I don't know, maybe in another 20 minutes or so. I'm gonna take a break and then I'm gonna hop back on here at 6 o'clock because I'm dedicated to finishing up, tying up my 2023 in Rewind. Because what I'm doing is I'm just going over some of the videos. Not all of my videos like went viral or whatever, but I do have some videos that, gained a little traction there, and some comments were left under, some videos where I always think like this is a nice time to kind of like revisit some of those videos. Some of them they were reaction videos where I really did give my thoughts and opinions on them like right off. But then, excuse me, but then there were some which pretty much had been my style for the shorts where I would just show like whatever it was. And then after I would show it, then I would just like pretty much ask, like, what's your opinion? I wasn't really giving mine. And I always kind of get a kick out of like the comment section, like not always, but sometimes like people get really turned up. They're like, this is what she means. And da, 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 da. And yes, this are you saying such and such and such? And it's okay because like, sometimes like I say, there are topics that kind of like, we feel really passionate about or whatever, and it can spark us. But for the most part, I think this is a nice way for me to kind of say like, this is what I meant. This is actually my point, which I'm entitled to have, just like everybody's entitled to have their own, but like, just a little more clarity on my stance with things. And then also just to kind of revisit, like to give a little bit more commentary on certain topics. But I've already covered a lot, you guys. I covered part 1. Okay, I've covered part 1. I had a part 2, and I time stamped quite a few. So actually, this evening, 6 o'clock, that's when I'm going live again. Actually, I shouldn't have a whole lot to cover because I've already covered a whole lot already. So I'm actually going to have to kind of scroll through and see. And that's actually why I'm using my actual desktop so that I can scroll and like check out stuff and, do what I need to do from here and go through questions. Because typically, I have my phone, I put my phone on the tripod, and it's easy. Bam, boom. Boom, bam, boom. Right? I'm able to do that. So I just thought that this was a good way that role, and I could look and I can actually read. But yeah. Yep, I said yeah. So what else? Yeah, so that's pretty much it. I hope that if you guys are joining me now, I'm gonna take my little intermission, probably eat another chip or two, something healthy, and then I'm gonna hop back on here at 6 and be ready for that part 3. I know you all say, how many parts? I can have as many parts as I need to have, okay? So I can finish and cover all of my videos, or at least the ones that got a little bit of buzz. Let's see, I can tell you the ones I've covered already. The ones that I've covered already, you guys, I'm just going to go straight down to, I'm going to go straight down. The videos that I have covered already, you guys, are, let's see. In the first one, I covered, okay, so I've already covered Mike Tyson versus Will Smith, which we know there was never a Mike Tyson versus Will Smith, but the Mike Tyson, Will Smith, Chris Rock, Oscar slap, that was covered already. I had posted a video. I'm not going to go real in depth because if you guys really want to check it out, then just check it out. That's in my part 1. But Mike Tyson was always used in the example of Chris Rock. You know, people were saying like, oh yeah, you know, people say that Will Smith was so like upset and just so like infuriated that it didn't matter who said what, that he went on to storm the stage and slapped anyone. And I've heard many times Mike Tyson being used as an example. You all want to know my opinion, just go back. And like I say, I have timestamps and everything. You guys have to go to my live section. You guys go to my page, go to the live section, and then you guys can actually click on part 1, and then you guys can hear my thoughts around that, okay? And then I covered, this is in part 1, I covered Tyrese Gibson, destroyed by girlfriend on live. I know that the title just sounds so harsh, you guys. I know it sounds like a harsh title, but if you guys saw it, it was rough to watch, okay? But basically, I guess it was this year. I think it was like this year, or could have been the end of last year, but I think it was like this year that Tyrese had went live on his account on either Instagram or TikTok. It was one of those two. And when he went live, he had his girlfriend with him, and people started asking relationship questions. And when they started asking relationship questions, the rest is history, okay? But basically the question was asked, like, was it disrespectful? Was it not disrespectful? But that was a video that got a little traction. People felt very passionate in the comment section. So you guys can check that out. That's in my part 1. Also in part 1, I covered Ari Spears when he weighed in on Keke Palmer and her boyfriend situation. We know that happened this year. You know, people feel how they feel. People have the opinions that they have. I know a lot of people said Ari Spears is not the one to weigh in on anybody. Probably true enough. But I gave my opinion on that because that's also one where it was a short where I just kind of like showed a clip and just asked, like, what do you think? A lot of times I like to do that just because I am really curious about what the public thinks about it. Like, what's your opinion? Recently I've kind of been giving my opinion, on things, but I think it is nice just to hear what you guys think. And then the last topic I covered in part 1 was Michael Jackson checks his brother Randy on stage. Okay. But the video shows, one of the award shows, which you guys may know, because I know in the comment section, and this video is currently doing really well. It's going viral. But people are, some people are like, I remember when I saw that video and I was wondering what drugs was Randy on, whatever. It's just very funny. People leave all kind of funny comments. Some people are saying, oh no, it was staged, whatever. You guys want to know, just go to part 1. You guys can go to my page, go to my live section, go to part 1, and you can click on the timestamp and you guys can hear what I had to say. And then in part 2, you guys, part 2, which was yesterday, I covered quite a bit. Just quickly, just to recap, and then I'm going to shut this live down, and I'll be back. I'll see you guys will see your girl back at 6 o'clock. Take a little intermission. But in the yesterday part 2, I covered Diddy's arrest, right? It's kind of like, new stuff, whatever. Is he really going to go behind bars? Is he whatever? I covered Diddy's arrest because I did do a short on that. I covered Diddy's arrest. I talked about Diddy, Justin Bieber, and Usher. Unfortunately, and I did do a long form video on that. Unfortunately, Diddy groomed them both. Okay. And I'm not even saying in the essay way, but we know now that we really know about Diddy, we know more than likely in that way. But literally, he had them both to be part of his flavor camp. And at his flavor camp, he had Usher. Literally, he had custody of Usher. He had custody of Usher at the age of 10. And he had Usher stand with him in New York or something like that for a summer or two, and being groomed into his flavor camp. And then he also had Justin Bieber. When Justin Bieber was, fresh off of YouTube, because I think, YouTube is where Justin Bieber started singing and was kind of discovered and all that. But Diddy had him to spend a couple of days with him at his place, whatever. And after that, was under his mentorship. But anyway, so I covered that. Like I say, it's timestamps on everything. So if you guys are wondering, what is Leela's opinion? You could just click on the timestamp and I talk, more in depth about it. And then I also cover Orlando Brown's interview with Tasha K. That video was a long form video. Wasn't really that long form. It was more like 10 minutes. But that 10 minutes, y'all, that 10 minutes was long enough for me because it got kind of creepy. I'm not, maybe I'm a little scary or whatever, but he really talks about in that interview too. Orlando Brown, he seemed very sober. He seemed a little silly just because I think that's probably his personality anyway. But Orlando Brown really went into depth about Hollywood occult, Holly Weird, and he just gets off into some type of whatever, which I believe probably the group, and we, you guys know what I'm talking about when I say the group, which I think the group probably is all a part of anyway. But that was a really interesting interview. It looked like he even was freaking Tasha K out a little bit. She looked a little weirded out. I know I did. And as you guys can see, it was a longer interview, but what I did was a quick, 10 minutes of it. I'm that's enough. But yeah, you guys can check it out. Really interesting. Whether you agree with him or not, I think it's worth watching. Again, Orlando Brown, who is he? He is a child star, Disney star. And he was in several movies, a lot of TV shows growing up, and had, since then has had a drug problem, just a lot of in and out of jail, a lot of problems since growing up in Hollywood. Okay. Then I covered all in part 2 from yesterday. Click on live, and under live, and in part 2, you can click on the timestamps and you guys can see me covering these topics and me giving my opinion on certain things. But then also there was the Jamie Foxx medical condition one, which we know that was a big one this year. What happened to Jamie? I think it was it last year? I guess it was last year, the end of last year, when he was stricken or was hospitalized all the way through or maybe it was this year when he was stricken, January or February, whatever. But it went from that time all the way up through. Nobody knows what's happening with Jamie, what was this medical condition? But I talk about that. And I also talk about Jason Lee, because Jason Lee, a celebrity, he covers all of the celebrity Hollywood gossip, but he's very much always been invited, always at the celebrity parties, always very tightly intermingled with the celebs. And like he say, I know everybody and they know what I know and da 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 da. But anyway, he offered a very interesting idea. I'll say that, a very interesting idea of what was going on with Jamie Foxx. And he was able to pull up receipts. And he was saying that after that, he may not be invited to the Hollywood parties, but he was okay with that. But yeah, so you guys can listen more to what Jason Lee had to say about Michael Jack. I almost called Michael Jackson, my bad. Mind on MJ. You guys can hear more about what Jason Lee had to say about Jamie Foxx's medical condition by clicking there, or you guys could actually check out his Hollywood Unlocked on YouTube. I'm not like affiliated or anything like that, but you guys can check out his channel. You guys will probably have to scroll for a little bit, but he talked about Jamie Foxx and something about $1 billion embezzlement that somehow he and Leonardo DiCaprio was tied into, and they were sequestered to DC to testify, and all this stuff happened right at the time that suddenly Jamie Foxx is stricken with a medical condition. Not saying and this is what Jason Lee says allegedly, because he says it a lot because he has to kind of protect himself, so I'm gonna say it too. Allegedly, this is what he had to say. And then the last two topics that I covered yesterday, as you guys can see, I'm going through all of this so you all see that today I really don't have that much to cover because I've covered so many of my videos, so much content. But then I also covered Mel Gibson's Sound of Freedom movie. That was one that, like I say, if you guys have not seen it, do check it out. It's pretty heavy. A lot of the content around the movie I can't even say on this channel, because if I say it, I don't want this video to get like shadow banned or whatever. Google, YouTube does not allow us to say, certain words. But Mel Gibson's movie Sound of Freedom basically is pointing out all of the ditties around the world. Okay, basically he's talking about like not just the music industry, but like Hollywood elite. He's talking about the real people that are part of the group. We'll just say the group. He's talking about the group. He's talking about these very powerful people, and save the kids. That's all I can say. But interesting enough, you guys can check it out to see really, what I had to say about it. But I thought it was fantastic that despite that movie not having any backing from mainstream, there was no commercials, there was no commercials on TV, no commercials on the radio, no billboards up or anything like that, it still did very well at the box office, which I thought was just really fantastic. And then lastly, you guys, I covered Kanye West's birthday party, Hollywood birthday party that he had this year. This one, along with the Orlando Brown one, I think gets a little weird, creepy detail. But you guys know he had a weird birthday party, strange stuff. People were saying that, oh no, that's the Japanese tradition. And like some other YouTuber was actually able to show really what that birthday party was copying, what it was based off of, and how he's affiliated with the woman who originally had those type of like gatherings. It's just really weird. It's weird stuff. I'm not going to revisit it at this moment because I already did. But if you guys want to check out like the two that get kind of like creepy weird, check out the Kanye West Strange Hollywood birthday party. Has a lot of context. And then you guys could also check out the Orlando Brown's interview with Tasha K. So you guys, I have enjoyed this like very random, spontaneous going live. Like I say, I almost named it mini marathon because I'm like, maybe I should just stay on all the way through till 6 o'clock. I'm gonna give it a little break. I will be back, and then we're probably gonna wrap up unless, like, for whatever reason, the videos take a little bit longer than what thinking. I don't know. Wrap it up, and I will be back. You guys can leave your comments down below. But yeah, so I will see you guys in a little bit. Come back and join me. Grab some popcorn or something. See ya.